out of the car, like this morning, show up to work, still dark outside, step out of the car, and you go through the whole day and like, I'm a person, I like to obviously be in control. I think a lot of people like to be in control.
You like to be in control?
Of their own destiny. of their own destiny and like things. You know what I mean. I'm not saying to be like overbearing. I'm not trying to be like, the Roger Goodell of this thing. But you step outside the car and you look up and it's dark and you look at the stars and I just think like, man, like we're just on a rock floating through space.
At 1,000 miles.
At just so fast.
This always gets me. The people are like, I want to go to the Grand Canyon. I want to see the Grand Canyon. Or they see, it's like, I feel so small when I look at it. Look up. Look at that. Yeah. That's never ending. It's like, it's never ending and expanding at the same time. I don't understand how you go see that and like, I feel so small. There are millions of these things, planets, stars. We don't even know what's out there, but you got to go to the Grand Canyon.
We don't even know what's here.
To feel small? Like, I just don't get it. Like, really think about it.
We don't want any Grand Canyon hate today.
No, it's not hate. It's just like really think about it. Like, really sit down for a second and think about it. Yeah, that's cool. Grand Canyon, cool. Big hole. Look up. Like, we don't even know what's out there. First of all, we don't even know what's on Earth, but look, we are aliens.
You know what I feel like sometimes? Like, I feel like where we're at, and since I have no bearings of anything in space outside of like the order of the planets, like the sun and going back out, and still it's a little bit sketchy there. I may, switch Neptune and Saturn or something like that. I just feel like we're like a Love's gas station, like in the middle of nowhere.
Can we at least be a Buckeyes?
Or a Buckeyes. We'll say Buckeyes.
We're a Buckeyes.
That's fine. We're a Buckeyes in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But again, like, what if like the coolest part of space was like so far away and like everybody's like interacting with each other and we just still don't, people just still don't even know if aliens.
You have FOMO.
Even though they are.
I have intergalactic FOMO.
I do. I have intergalactic FOMO.
Intergalactic FOMO. Fear of missing out. You think that there is a space party going on and we're not invited.
And we're not, because we're like the people that live out like in Auburn, like all the way on the end of Wire Road where nobody knows, nobody can even reach you if there's a party.
That's why
Carl Sagan said either there's a lot of aliens or none, and both are equally terrifying.
Yes.
It's a terrifying quote.
That's
because
true.
if you really think about it, if there are aliens and they got to a certain level in society that, they're interstellar, like they should have painted the galaxy by now. It's either that or they don't want us to know it's them and we're kind of like a bug.
I don't know if I'm happy about you not wanting us to know you're there.
We're not invited to the party.
We're not invited to the party.
We're not invited to the party.
That's why Elon's trying to
No,
it's because we continue to do stupid things.
Yeah. But we haven't got
I wouldn't invite us. Would I invite? Let's be honest. If I'm coming from another planet and I would watch humans for 30 minutes, guess what? You're probably not invited to my party. You know who we are? We're Steven Glansberg. We're Steven Glansberg. We're sitting at the lunch table eating pudding by ourselves.
I just think that they might be betting on it right now. What's the over-under and how long we last? Let's be honest.
I don't know. It's probably not the under. What's the under? I hate cheering for under.
I don't know.
They say life's too short to take the under.
That reminds me. Make sure in the intergalactic party you use promo code Booster.
That's exactly right. If you use promo code Alien, they won't blow us up. The Ohio State Buckeyes return to action this weekend against Iowa. David Pollck from College GameDay is going to join us to preview Week 8. And the Yankees clinch the ALDS while the NBA tips off. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. With all the talk about Tennessee finally beating Alabama, Michigan looking like a schoolyard bully, and UCLA, TCU, and Ole Miss remaining undefeated, there's one team out there that people really aren't talking about. Now, that would be college football power Ohio State. And I know they haven't played anybody that's currently in the top 25, and the warm feelings about the Notre Dame win disappeared about as fast as the Irish did after their recent cliff diving display this season. But this Ohio State team has elite players, and they are putting up outstanding numbers. How elite are those numbers? Ohio State is number 1 in the country in points per game, points per play, yards per play, fourth down conversion rate, and red zone scoring. Oh, and they're number 2 in the country in converting on third down. That's hard to do through 7 weeks against anybody. I don't care about the schedule. And that's been without their superstar, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Now, those stats would lead you to believe that Ohio State is just an offensive juggernaut. But the defensive numbers are just as good. Outside of defensive red zone scoring, the Buckeyes are top 10 in all the categories I just listed on the defensive side of the ball. The most dangerous part about this Buckeye team is that they're more balanced than a good diet. They can beat you in multiple ways. And with an elite quarterback mixed with a team that's getting more weapons back than Afghanistan did after we left, this team has a ton of room to grow. Now, this weekend, again, they host an Iowa team that would struggle to move the ball on air. They do have a big test in 2 weeks at Penn State, who just got their pants pulled down and spanked in the grocery store in front of everyone at Michigan. So even a win on the road in Happy Valley may not suffice the haters. But we do know this Ohio State team is as good as any out there. And do not be surprised if you look up at the end and the Buckeyes are one step away from glory. Speaking about glory, former Heisman candidate, Michigan quarterback, David Cohn, my brother, former
Why is that
Western.
funny?
Why are you laughing, Blaine?
Because I can laugh if I want to.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you
I know
can,
you have
and I can
control
ask
issues.
questions if I
I know
want.
you have control issues. You brought that up this morning. That's fine, but I can laugh when I want to.
Bring in
All
control
right, guys?
issues.
We just want to know.
Oh, okay.
We can ask questions when we want to.
I love that. I love that. That doesn't mean I have to answer them.
Well, that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Let's talk about Blaine and answer the question. No, I'm just kidding. Cone, maybe it's just that Ohio State's kind of cruised.
They're good.
Maybe again,
They're really
maybe
good.
because it hasn't been against the best competition. If you really look at that schedule, you do go to Maryland, I believe. The one at Penn State's going to be tough. But really, outside of that, you should go ahead and put the windows down and cruise all the way to the big game, which you happen to host in the Horseshoe. But you look at C.J. Stroud. You look at the weapons they have on the outside. They're adding guys. You look at the weapons in the backfield, the way the offensive line is able to pass pro and move the ball on the ground. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they are just about as talented as anybody. Are we kind of laying low on Ohio State because they just haven't been super flashy against big-name teams and haven't had that big game yet outside of a Notre Dame team that we found out was really a 5 pretending to be an 8?
Some people maybe are laying low on them. I mean, others have them.
You've had them at number 1.
You know, and I think that, again, they can only play the teams that they've been playing. What's so impressive to me, we knew the offense was going to be great when you bring back this many caliber of weapons here. And the fact that they're putting up this much yardage and points with Jackson Smith-Njigba being hurt, like you said, and not only that, but Travion Henderson, who we had as a top 5 back in the country, has also been banged up, and they're still putting up this many points. I understand the concern on the level of competition, and I have their schedule pulled up here. They've beaten Michigan State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, Toledo, Arkansas State. We know about the Notre Dame win. Obviously, I say the same thing about the Buckeyes that I say about Michigan. Everything you want goes through that last game of the season, and especially now that Michigan is a good football team, the Buckeyes are going to get them at home. But the point that I wanted to hit on with you is the defensive side of the football. We cannot overstate how much value Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State has added to this
Hell, look
defense.
at Oklahoma State right now.
Yeah, I know. Oklahoma State went from being a defensive identity last season to they're giving up 40 points a game now. Well, not 40 points a game, but they've given up 40 points in big games, right? Now, they're still finding a way to win. They've turned it back into an old school Big 12 offensive juggernaut somehow. But Jim Knowles has added so much value to this Buckeyes defense. I want to see, can they keep this going throughout the rest of the season, especially as they host Michigan in the last game of the season? But to me, the Buckeyes are rolling.
Blaine, when you look at Ohio State compared to Georgia and Tennessee and some of these other teams in the top, where do you stack them up right now?
As good as any team in the nation. I mean, realistically, one, you should always be worried about the quietest guy at the dinner table.
Yeah.
The guy who's out there literally listening to what you're saying and thinking about what's going on. But one, there's not an elite defense out there this year. There's not a Georgia defense running around this year, and their offense is good enough to play with anybody in the country. Bama's defense is not elite. Georgia's defense is probably the most elite in the country. Tennessee defense not elite. Michigan defense, I would say good, but not elite. So, I mean, C.J. Stroud right now putting a Heisman performance together, and they really don't get talked about enough because they don't really play anybody on their schedule. I mean, realistically, it's not their fault Michigan State's down this year. I mean, they got Penn State, and then they got Michigan. That's it. They go to Penn State.
Yeah.
They got Michigan at home. Other than that, they really have nobody.
And I know every year is different, and every team is different. That's the trick about coaching, is trying to build that culture and have different guys come in and have close to a similar identity while still letting them be themselves. But I think Ohio State has had so much success in the past. They're one of the few places I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt. I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt. You look at how fast they are. You look at who's been out, who's coming back. It's hard to not say that Ohio State, you put them at number one. I think there's 3 teams you could put at number one right now. 3, maybe even 4, which is a pretty cool situation to be in compared to what we've had. I hope it continues to play out like this. Yeah. But, when you look at Michigan's schedule too, Coney, outside of Michigan State, I mean, it's looking like we're headed for an undefeated Ohio State and an undefeated Michigan.
Which will be the first time since my freshman year in 2006. And if we get that, boys, I'm telling you what, it's things are really going to heat up. Here's my one question for you guys. I know we just talked about how much value Jim Knowles has added to the defensive side of the ball for the Buckeyes, which there was really you could only improve from last season because they were not a physical defense. It's something that you never say about a Buckeye team. They've still given up double-digit points in every game this season so far against teams that aren't great. Does that give you cause for concern here? Or are we looking at this team a lot like we look at Tennessee and we say, okay, look, the defense is more improved from last season. They're not an elite defense like Blaine just said, but they're still going to outscore whoever they play.
Yeah, I would answer that by saying, how many close games do you remember Ohio State being in?
This season?
This season.
Really, Notre Dame in the first half.
That was it, which tells me you're getting points scored in garbage time, which tells me that's getting scored on the 2s, the 3s a little bit, maybe some places where you've had attrition. When the game pressure, that's one... it's funny, you take that as a positive, but then on the other side, you're like, they haven't faced a ton of game pressure this year. Mm-hmm. And that's why I always say when you look at games like Georgia had at Missouri, or sometimes when teams you think are the best in the country go and struggle, especially on the road against a team they're a lot better than or that they should be better than, sometimes that is the win you build the most off of because that game pressure was into play. You find out more about your team when the game is tight than you do when they're up by 30. So that's why I go back and say I think we still have to give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt with the experience that they have and the pieces that they're adding back off injured reserve that just so happen to have experience. I think that's where you look at it and say that's why I wouldn't worry about Ohio State with this schedule. So I think there's a positive and a negative way to look at it. You've seen them excel under game pressure in the first game against Notre Dame when it was tight. First games are wonky anyway. Teams improve so much from the first game to the third game even, or they regress. They're a different team. Let's just put it that way. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I would say 3 of those games, too. I mean, Rutgers scored 10 points. Arkansas State scored 12 points. And Notre Dame scored 10 points. So, I mean, you gave up late touchdowns to Wisconsin. Michigan State, you gave up a late touchdown. I still think like their offense is gonna win them national championship.
Well, yeah, Ryan Day is the coach. I think that, but Jim Knowles to me has given them the ability to make big stops in big games against offenses like a Tennessee that has good players, but Ohio State has just as talented players on defense as Tennessee does on offense.
I mean, well, do we trust them right now in a big game versus like right now Tennessee, Ohio State? Oh. How many points does Tennessee put?
Neutral site.
Neutral site.
I would say I think they could get to the 28 to 32 range.
I think Tennessee would probably drop a 30 to 40 piece on Ohio State.
I mean, I don't think that's
I don't think you're wrong,
say.
But my thing is, would the Buckeyes then put up 48?
For sure. For sure.
That wide receiver room against Tennessee's DBs?
Yeah, take the over.
That wide receiver room is better than Bama's wide receiver room.
Take the over.
I mean, same thing. Same thing with Georgia. They'd give up points, would put up points. The playoffs, when we get to the playoffs, it's going to be nothing but points. I have been
leaning that way since week 3, and I'm with you. But
this is why I think that maybe Michigan could even match up a little bit better, and here's why. Because the run game has been so effective, like we said, they're going to slow the game down. You're going to have fewer possessions for someone like Tennessee. And even Georgia, too. I think Georgia would figure out a way to get Brock Bowers involved even in the run game, handoff, stay in bounds, keep the clock going against some of these teams to shorten the game. And especially, like I said, later in the season, if we're looking up in the Midwest, the games are going to get colder. You're going to have the elements. That's something that's going to play into this, too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, like Blaine says, I would not be shocked if you got to the playoff and you needed to take overs. But speaking about takeovers, if you're going to take overs, unders, player props, team props, do me a favor. If you're in a state where it's legal, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you make a $5 bet using the promo code BOOSTER, this is on the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use the promo code BOOSTER, BOOSTER. Any $5 bet this week, you get $200 in free bets. In this economy, you're right, and you're welcome. If your team wins, all right, so a $5 bet can win you $200 in free bets if your team wins. Now, that's only at DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's only with our promo code BOOSTER. Let them know that we sent you. Remember, minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. Make sure you see the show notes for details. Guys, NBA did tip off last night. All right, so if you want to make some NBA bets, it's already rolling. Major League Baseball playoffs is rolling. It's all rolling. And DraftKings Sportsbook is always rolling. So go ahead and download that app now. Blaine, who loves DraftKings Sportsbook app? The Booster Club does. That's where we're going next. What's going down?
Brad David, $9.99 donation. Brad, good morning, my guy. And he says, y'all think if Auburn knew they would end up with Harsin, that they would have kept Gus? Also, if Gus was still the coach, would their record be better right now?
Again, I think this goes back to two things can be true at once. I think it was the right time to move on from Gus Malzahn. When you look at his lack of ability to recruit on the offensive line, we saw it going on 4 years. They didn't sign a high school guard for 4 seasons, something like that. That's just, you can't do that. The trajectory was going down. Georgia was beating him like a thief every single year. And you could see that Nick was always a lot better recruiter than Gus was, but Kirby was coming in and just snatching everything from Gus. I'm surprised Gus had a lazy boy in his living room to watch TV. I'm surprised Kirby didn't take that too. I think Gus going to UCF is just a much better fit. He wasn't evolving as a coach. He was running the same thing over and over and over. And when you're not evolving, you're dissolving. I thought that was the right move. Then everything went down with Kevin Steele because you have to have a good plan to replace the guy. They had a bad plan to replace the guy. The fans pushed back. Once Steele, that didn't go down. They were missed on Napier. They missed on a couple other guys. Had to bring in Brian Harsin on a flyer, and it didn't work out. That's why this hire is so crucial, because you miss 2 hires in a row, that puts you in a decade swamp's what it does. And you have to turn into the Sith to be able to bring it back. So I think 2 things can be true at once. I do think Auburn would probably have a better record than they do right now, but not by much. But the trajectory would still be just bleak. While everybody else in Georgia's excited, and Tennessee's excited, and South Carolina's excited, and Kentucky and Ole Miss and everybody's excited, at Auburn it was just meh. Which is sad because Auburn can produce so much for the SEC and for college football. So that's kind of my thoughts there.
All right, Jimbo Eagle, a $4.99 donation. What's up, Jimbo?
Forever.
Says, to those responsible for scheduling the Denver Broncos to play 4 out of their first 6 weeks in a primetime game, get off my lawn, #David Cohn.
I blame the Russians.
All right, let's go to Greg Hart, $2 donation. He says, OSU underrated? ? They're number 2, #Go Blue.
Well, I just don't. We're not hearing as much about them because they're not in the storylines because they haven't had those huge games. They haven't had a quote-unquote big game since Notre Dame. And all the talk, including us, has been about Tennessee and where does Alabama go from here? And is Georgia as good as what everybody thinks? And Michigan looks really good again. And TCU's undefeated. And UCLA's physical with Chip Kelly. And Illinois only lost 1 game. I feel like we just sometimes need to remember that while Ohio State isn't in the big storylines right now, they are just as dangerous as any team. I just want to make sure we remember.
And they had a bye last weekend. And if that doesn't show you how every single week in college football matters is important, they had a bye last weekend. Look, you take 1 week off, and Tennessee now gets the attention, right? And I know that Georgia played Vanderbilt, so essentially they had a bye as well. But still, 55-point win. Don't you look at me like that? Just because I got to that joke before you.
I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of this.
I'm the pro anchor down guy.
On the win total this season,
out of all the hills to die,
I'm the pro anchor down guy.
No, you're not after that comment.
Out of all the hills to die on, you're going to die on the Vandy has expectations.
They do. Why have a team?
Hey.
So they can make money.
If you don't have expectations, why have a team? I don't know if you heard Clark Lee, 3 years.
So 3 years.
3 years
the
what?
best team in the SEC.
It's one big safe space over there. Everybody's just in a safe
Trust
space.
Tree. This is one big safe space.
Well, look, Trust Tree and safe space is a little bit different.
Hey,
there's a lot of honesty in the Trust Tree. The safe space is just, hey, my feelings, I don't want them to get hurt, so I'm going to tell you the truth or no, or maybe I'm a unicorn today or something. That is true.
The Trust Tree is very different from the safe space.
Don't you ever, first off, don't ever put the Trust
You'll still get ridiculed in the Trust Tree.
Okay, I don't want this. Look, Vandy goes to enough. I just don't need y'all popping a squat on Vandy. And
What did I say that's inaccurate? Georgia basically had a bye week.
No, not you, but that Vandy doesn't have expectations. Vandy has expectations.
You heard about that.
Yeah, make good grades.
And play good football.
No.
and play good football.
I have to read one thing that our boy Sergio sent me on the Thursday Night Football thing. He said, at this point, the NFL should just lean into Thursday Night Football being absolutely terrible games and make the loser keep playing on Thursday until
the relegation game?
The relegation game. And they only get back on a schedule for Sundays when they win. The new loser is stuck on Thursday Night Football.
I actually love that. I absolutely.
The relegation game.
I wouldn't mind if they didn't play on Thursday night and just let college football play on Thursday night, to be honest.
And Friday. Yeah, Friday for high school.
All right, let's go to Michael Bickford in the Daily Wire chat. He says, as a Michigan fan, I don't know how I can have faith that even if we beat the team down south and repeat as Big Ten champions, how are we going to be able to flip the script from the playoffs last year against a Georgia or the SEC in general?
I feel you, brother. I feel you. I know where you're
this.
coming from. I know where you're coming from, but have faith in the process. Have faith in the process. Everything you want goes through Columbus. Handle that game first.
Tell me his name.
First.
Tell me his name again.
His name is Michael Bickford.
Michael, I'll tell you 2 words. JJ McCarthy.
Ooh.
There is your difference maker. Remember, last year against Georgia, when the Georgia players were talking in the post game, they said, thank goodness J.J. McCarthy wasn't out there the whole game because that dude makes plays that worries us. He can actually do it against a Georgia-type team. Now, this defense, in the same one at Georgia, there's not a Georgia defense out there like Blaine said. All right, you have a quarterback that's mobile. You have a quarterback that's a playmaker outside of the pocket and inside of the pocket. You have a quarterback that's a great thrower of the ball that you're seeing that is learning how to get through his reads, that's getting better each game, that is learning from the very few mistakes that he makes, but has the athletic ability to compete. You are good enough up front with Blake Corum, with some of the guys on the outside to be able to push the ball down the field. I'm telling you right now, don't get caught in the trap of last year. I understand being anxious. I understand being a little bit nervy, but this is a different Michigan team, and it's also a different Georgia team. If I was you, I wouldn't be as worried about Michigan moving the ball. I would be as worried about how the hell is Michigan going to stop Brock Bowers and Stetson Bennett, the same quarterback from last year that's playing with nothing to lose, and a team that's more open with what Todd Monken's doing. You're seeing more spread out. You're not seeing old Georgia, let's run the ball, play good defense, good special teams, and try and wait you out and dominate you in the trenches, even though they can do that, in my opinion, if they're hot and they're cooking. So I would have a lot more faith and optimism this year than I would last year. To quote the great theologian Aristotle, new phone, who dis?
New phone, who dis? Hey, and if you look at what Georgia did to Alabama, Georgia was beating everybody. Georgia was going to beat anybody that day that they beat Michigan. Now, maybe some other teams would have played them a little bit closer, but Georgia was not going to be stopped last year in the playoff. They were the best team in the country. So if he can find solace in that, you know. And Josh Gaddis, as many good things as he did for Michigan on offense, we got away from our identity a little bit. Now you can see that Michigan's back to that identity, running the football, and I think J.J. McCarthy will add
Gives
some
you
wrinkles,
that extra element.
especially if you're going to be like we were last year, which is adding all these different wrinkles in the pass game and the play action game. Then do that to the fullest in the playoff game when you have nothing to lose. We're way too vanilla against them.
And when you have a guy like J.J. McCarthy that can do multiple things, the playbook opens up more. Now it becomes how much is he comfortable with having on his plate? Well, you've seen the progression with what Harbaugh and them have done with him each week. They're giving him a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, you look up in week 10, now you have basically everything on the menu. You're just trying to decide if you want the hash brown smothered, covered, or slapped.
I like that.
What's slapped?
Hash brown smothered, covered, and slapped.
What's slapped?
Don't ask questions.
And now that I think about it, actually, we shouldn't be thinking about anything other than Michigan State because that's who's next on the schedule, and we don't even have a great track. We don't even have a great track record
against them. If y'all lose to this Michigan State team, I may start.
I'm telling you right now, handle Michigan State first.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to Jimbo Eagle, $4.99 donation.
Ooh.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Thank you, Jimbo.
Hashtag question for Crane & Company. Who's a better athlete overall, Tyreek Hill or LaFlop James?
It's got to be LeBron.
It's LeBron James.
LeBron James because he's 6'8". I mean, look, Tyreek Hill is unbelievably fast, but if you put Tyreek Hill on a basketball court with LeBron James is going to win. I think if you throw a ball up, if Tyreek Hill is guarding LeBron James is going to catch it. Now, I don't think LeBron can guard Tyreek Hill, but I think if he got up on the line and got
one-on-one,
huge mitts, then he'd have a little bit of a chance. But just in aggregate, 6'8", 260.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Tyreek's probably a dog at basketball.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he could dunk from the free throw line.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, what if he couldn't dribble? What if he dribbled like one of those kids at PE has no chance?
Like Stanley
to make
in the
any
office?
team, yes. Like he just couldn't dribble at all. You know they said Bo Jackson couldn't dribble.
Really?
Yeah, they said he could dunk, but he just struggled to dribble. Like
He was too strong.
Yeah,
he was like throwing the ball into
he was
the
just breaking the ball into the ball would just go flat every time he dribbled it. But all right, Cody, let's get into some rapid fire.
Let's do it. Major League Baseball playoff update. Let me hit the button. Yankees clinch, Blaine. Yankees clinch the divisional series.
Get out of here in the first inning,
Going to play
buddy.
the Astros today.
Yeah, shout out to Nestor Cortez for coming out and doing his thing. I was afraid Aaron Boone might have taken him out too early. Once the relievers started to come in, they were able to get through it, only ended up giving up one run. But look, the Yankees jumped them. They jumped them. And they jumped him with who? Giancarlo in the first inning. Runners on first and second, 2-0 count. Savali hadn't pitched in 13 days. He's throwing a curve and a cutter. And Giancarlo said, word to your mother. Serving up the butter. Let's play the clip.
The 2-0.
Tank!
That's gone.
That is gone forever.
That ball is gone.
Now, the thing, this is, when you look at hitters like Giancarlo Stanton and guys, if you're a right-hander and you can't go the opposite way in Yankee Stadium, you are really leaving a lot.
With that close stance, you better.
No, that's exactly right. Like, I just don't know how you don't bust Giancarlo in every time and just hope it works out. Now, I know he may hit one all the way back to Florida, okay, but I think you got a better chance than him with the closed stance. I mean, he's more closed than schools during the pandemic.
I mean, the dude's just
going the other way.
jacked. I mean, he's basically Bane.
Yeah, well, him and Aaron Judge do you think he's from the same planet? Did they leave Aaron Judge and Giancarlo in?
No.
Were they like
I don't
together?
think
Was
so.
it the buddy
I
system?
think they're in like a intergalactic war right now. So.
The
Yeah.
Planet Judge versus Planet Stanton?
Yeah, and they just happened. Maybe it was like almost the type of things like, here, you think you have the strongest warrior, we think we have the strongest warrior, we're going to drop them off at this planet and see who does better.
And now they're
in the game of
teammates?
baseball. And now they're teammates, but deep down, they're still going against each other.
Okay. So it's like the Makarab here.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then Aaron Judge, who Blaine wanted to fire after hitting,
Not true,
setting
lies.
the
Do you run the
single
Yankees
season home
Twitter?
run record.
Did you run the Yankees Twitter?
Yankees Twitter.
Not true.
Let's play this clip of Aaron Judge hitting home run number 3,411 this season. Man, they shouldn't give him a new contract.
That's gone.
That ball is absolutely. See
can hear
that one? Now look, Giancarlo's more of a line drive. You can say what you want. That one's gone in any park. Aaron kept the hands back balls on the outer third. Took it the other way. That's where he's grown as a hitter. It's funny when you look at him and Austin Riley. There are some comps there with the way they came in the league and the way they adjusted. Both really, and most people come in and struggle with the slider, the power slider.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, 90 mile per hour slider is the hardest pitch to hit in baseball, in my opinion. But they both were able to adjust, and they started using all fields. Aaron Judge coming in would decent to right, decent to center, but was a true pull hitter. You've seen him really grow and evolve, and that's why he's been able to do so much. Blaine, you think they should re-sign him now or just send him out to pasture?
First of all, I never said they shouldn't re-sign him. I'm saying you have to start performing in the postseason. He had 2 hits. He was 2 for 20-something. All right?
He hit 62 home runs in the regular
I'm not talking about the regular season. Cool.
But
cool
so you just
story.
forget all the
Hansel
regular
and
season.
Gretel. Cool story.
So the Padres?
We care about rings.
Okay,
right?
okay.
I want to win a World Series.
So you would only give big contracts to guys who do well in the
No, like Aaron Judge contracts. Like he's like asking for everything.
He wants the planet.
He wants half a Saturn. And if you want half a Saturn, buddy, when it's the postseason, all right, I need you in there going off.
No, I need you to play well. What I'm saying is you can't discount the regular season that he had.
I'm not discounting it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm saying it matters. But what matters more? What's on your finger?
All right, I was just saying yesterday
That's what
it sounded
matters.
like you.
And if you want us to give you all the Bitcoin in the world, all right, I'm gonna need you to start playing a little better in the postseason.
all right, look.
Well, he did deliver yesterday. Phillies Padres.
Phillies Padres.
Phillies up a game.
Look, Zach Wheeler.
Wheeling and dealing.
Like, you knew this guy was good, but he's got some really high-level stuff. That fastball was exploding out of his hand. And Yu Darvish was good.
That's the point. Yu Darvish was dealing.
Bryce Harper ran into a pitch on the outside that he was able to lift for a home run, which Bryce has been hot. Talking about a guy coming through
that
the postseason.
swing, man.
Finally,
that swing.
Finally, when they were calling you the LeBron James of baseball, you were supposed to be coming out. The Phillies, man, it feels like their year. And then Schwarber gets up there and hits one that absolutely disappears. This ball went 488 feet.
This Blaine's
It
boy.
had an exit velocity of 119.7 miles per hour, and it was the fastest exit velocity in the postseason since they started tracking in 2015. Watch Kyle Schwarber absolutely break physics on this pitch. Let's go ahead and run it. And Yu's throwing well, man. Giving up 1 run through freaking 6 innings. Tank. Good gosh. Like that's a hanging slider. That's a hanging slider with a high spin rate that Kyle Schwarber, who's basically Fred Flintstone in 2022, walking around with a tree that he's swinging.
How far
hits
was that one?
488
488.
488, but yet he could not hit over 13 home runs in the first round of the home run derby to let Blaine Blues
rigged.
bad. It was had to be rigged against Albert Pujols. It's had to be. Always.
You
believe
think so?
Always believe.
Man, 488. The time I hit 488 was with an aluminum.
Imagine
bat,
if Kyle was on steroids, how far he would have hit that ball. Imagine. He'd hit it.
Did John Brinkus not come
John
on
Brinkus
here
said
and
it.
say
No.
he wouldn't,
that's right.
it wouldn't have
You're
gone
right.
as far?
You
You're right,
said
I'm
you
wrong.
only believe
I'm
John
wrong.
Brinkus.
His
I gotta
hand-eye
stick to the
coordination
science.
would have been
That's
better.
my fault.
You got to follow the science.
Yeah, that's right.
God, Lee.
Come on, man.
Figure
My
it out.
bad, John.
Better on a
Who
Wednesday, man.
are we feeling better about right now? Are we feeling better?
Yankees.
About the NLCS, the teams, or the teams in the ALCS right now? I just feel like it's hard. It just smells like Phillies Astros. It smells like Phillies Astros. Close World Series, but the Astros finally, not finally, they won one in 2017, but the Astros win another one and send Philly home unhappy.
That's how it feels.
It just
That's how it feels to me.
it just really feels like Yankees and whoever. That's what it just smells like. The Yankees are going to go to the World Series, doesn't it?
How you feel
It
about
smells
tonight?
and feels like that?
Yeah.
Short turnaround tonight against the Astros. How
Do
you
I look
feeling?
worried?
Well, Justin Verlander got
Yeah.
absolutely tagged in his first outing, but I expect
That's why
him
I
to
feel
come
good
back.
about
That's
tonight.
exactly right.
All right, so NBA update, because you guys wanted this. Golden State beats the Lakers. Boston beats Philly. All right.
Yeah,
You
well,
sound stoked about it, Dave.
yeah,
super
David, stop
pumped.
sounding so excited about it.
Yeah.
The Celtics, it's funny that the teams we watched last night looked just like the teams we saw last year. Starting with the Celtics. Good on defense. I know they gave up over 100 points, but Philly made a little run, at the end of the first quarter going into the second, but you can tell who the Celtics are, even without Ime Udoka there, which goes back to my theory of coaching does not matter in the NBA.
Is he really out for the season?
It doesn't matter in the NBA. We'll see.
The season?
We'll
That's
see.
long.
I know they're saying it is.
All right, I didn't watch any of these. I looked at the stat lines.
Yeah, but no,
Did I miss
I watched it.
anything?
The Celtics defensively are the same team. Jason Tatum has gotten bigger and stronger. You can just tell. He was able to take contact from Tobias Harris. He took contact from Embiid, was able to finish at the rim. The Celtics look like the exact same team. The 76ers, we're just going to have to see. I mean, you're going to have to outscore people defensively. I know Embiid is a monster. He's an alien. You got to start seeing it in the postseason. It just looked so similar to what I saw last year. It's like they didn't even take any time off. I know they've been playing in preseason, but Philadelphia struggled to move the ball early, found it, got into a rhythm, but they were up and down. They were the Sixers. But the thing that surprised me the most was how you knew the Warriors were going to be good. The Warriors looked like they hadn't skipped a beat. The ball movement was unbelievable. Steph Curry was great. They're a team, the Golden State Warriors, and I know it's one game. You can take stuff from the first game, but you can't take everything. The Lakers are the exact same team from last year. They're the exact same team. It's the exact same thing. You may have a worse bench.
Did
You may
Russ-
have a worse bench.
Did Russ come off the bench?
You have it was exactly what we thought. Yeah, I mean you have Toscano, Anderson. You didn't have anybody that was able to come off the bench and give you anything. It was AD, was LeBron, and Russ. That's you got what 77 points something combined from your superstars. Here's what the Lakers are going to have to do. They're going to have to beat you early and hope to hold on. Because they don't, at least right now from what I've seen, and I don't think anybody's making a huge leap, and it is the first game, the Lakers will be lucky. They will be lucky to be the 8th seed. You're going to have another year of LeBron complaining and all these other things. Because, look, LeBron looked fine last night. I know he's getting older, but he looked fine. The bench for the Lakers is terrible. This just looks like a team. You want to talk about mid? You want to talk about a mid team? The Lakers looked mid last night. The Warriors did whatever they wanted, and it didn't seem like the Draymond Green situation really had any effect once they got on the
so
court.
he played?
Did Draymond?
Yeah.
Draymond played
25 minutes.
Played 25 last night, but you didn't.
I don't
see
really
anything
know if you
from
can
him.
call a team like a team mid, one after first game, and two, they just played the Golden State Warriors.
When you
who just won the NBA
you
Finals.
see
Lost by
what the
10.
Lakers had on the bench, I'm not worried. I'm worried about Anthony Davis getting hurt, which is probably a matter of time. I'm not worried about Russ if they play him like that without him and LeBron being on the court. They're both ball-dominant guards. With Russ, LeBron, and AD scoring, that's not what's going to determine how good the Lakers do. What's going to determine how good the Lakers do is how good the bench is. And the bench last night, and like I said, I don't see a big-time amount of improvement. The bench last night for the Lakers looked absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. They shot a bad percentage. They didn't really give you anything. And I don't think the Lakers, with the way that three-man rotation is going to roll with LeBron, Russ, and AD, and Russ's problems last year with shooting, AD's problems will being healthy. I don't see, nothing jumped out at me last night that said this Lakers team is different.
Blaine, more than mid?
Yeah. I mean, any team with LeBron James.
You want to do a bet? Let's do a bet right now. I bet the Lakers don't make the playoffs.
Ooh.
Okay, bet. What's the bet?
Let's go.
How about you? Where the loser has to wear a straitjacket and eat the hottest chip in the world.
No.
He's already doing that.
I'm already doing that once. No. Let's put the bet. You know what, Booster Club? Throw some ideas in there. We'll be thinking about it as we go. Okay.
That's a good one. That's a good bet. All right. A federal grand jury in Atlanta has indicted an Arizona couple for conspiring to extort money from Georgia Tech by falsely accusing Yellow Jackets basketball coach Josh Pastner of sexual assault. You were kind of tapped into this, right?
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And the saddest part about it is the people that I feel like if you can, like in a situation like this, if you accuse somebody for financial gain of sexual assault or rape, and it comes out that you concocted this to make money, you should have to serve the same sentence that person would have in jail for rape or sexual assault. That would end a lot of this. All these fake hoaxes that we see from the political realm, from the race realm, from the gender realm, all these things, it does two things. It manipulates a system that is trying to help people that are in big-time trouble or trying to get out of something or in a bad relationship that actually need help. And two, it ruins people's lives who haven't done anything wrong. I feel like this is a sickness, and the way that you take care of it is you put those people away for as long as that person would have been taken away. Because that's why I'm not believe all men, I'm not believe all women. You know what I am? I believe all evidence. I believe all the evidence. Now you have to take everything to me, any accusation is something you need to look into, you need to find an answer to, but just because somebody makes an accusation doesn't make the accusation true. You need to look at everything from a non-biased, non-personal way so you can actually find out and not get so emotionally invested that you already consider somebody guilty before. Because when this came out, you would have thought Josh Pastner had already done it. Right when it hit, there was kind of in a slew of some other things that were going on, but it's so sad that people are this sick that you take away from people that are actually getting sexually assaulted. They took time that they could have been allocating to somebody else for something else to help somebody else to try and find out if Josh Pastner committed something he didn't because some people were having financial gain. I hope they throw these people underneath the jail. You're sick, and I wish they'd take care of people in that way.
Well, we have some reactions to get to, but do you want to get the Booster Club first, Blaine?
Yeah, Blaine, let's go Booster.
Booster Club. Carl Dunn, $5 donation. What's up, Carl?
Carl's not done.
Says, will the Tigers keep the lane train at the station? Go Tigers and Astros.
Can't wait for this game. I like LSU right now. I haven't made my final decision. I'm just going to go back to what I said yesterday and what we talked about. When you look at Ole Miss, they are a run-to-pass team. Lane is leaning into that because he realized that's what they're best at. When everything is even, if Jaden Daniels will push the ball down the field or even have the threat of pushing the ball down the field against Ole Miss, I think LSU could score 40 points in this game. I think Jaden Daniels is the most dynamic player on that field when he's cooking. When Jaden Daniels is cooking and when Jackson Dart is cooking with the weapons around Jaden and the weapons around Jackson, I am going to take Jaden. Not only that, they are at home. They are still in the hunt for the SEC West, and they are favored as an unranked team with a top 10 team coming in. And I know people say, oh, that means people threw money on LSU. Oh, that means people threw money on Ole Miss. I'm just telling you from the outside looking in, it makes a lot of sense to me why LSU is favored. If they're able to just play a little bit above average defensively, which they can, especially down there in LSU. And Blaine, we need to see, is that game a night game? We need to double check.
Yes.
That's a night game?
Yeah, that'll be a night game.
Uh-oh.
Death Valley, boys.
Uh-oh. You saw what happened in the day game against Tennessee. It's like LSU was in a haze early. Don't see that happening down there at night. That place is going to be rocking.
Well, I think there's a reason Ole Miss was favored in this game. I just feel like they're a more complete team.
Wait, LSU's favorite.
LSU's
Well,
favorite.
yeah,
now.
after the fans bet, yeah. But Ole Miss started as the favorite.
Oh, they opened as a favorite?
Yeah, they're a 1-point favorite.
Yeah, the fans bet, and I understand, especially at night game at LSU. But I'm really interested to see how Jonathan Mingo gets involved in this game. He's an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah.
Plain NFL wide receiver. All right, let's go to Alicia's action figure frenzy. She says, well, which one was hurt? She says, Ohio State's respect factor during the bye week are C.J. Stroud's Heisman Trophy chances.
What's the question again?
Which one was more affected?
Yeah, during the bye week, the Ohio State's respect factor or C.J. Stroud's Heisman Trophy chances.
You know, I think it's all there for the taking still, obviously. If you look at CJ, you have the big game against Michigan. Penn State is still technically a big game. You go ball against them, you're going to have your opportunity. But what it's looking like to me is you're going to have a great year. This is going to come down to how he plays against Michigan, which is at home. And then in the Big Ten championship game, if they were to get there, that's going to be his chance to solidify the Heisman. The problem right now is, though, Hendon Hooker has had a great season, just had a great game against Alabama, had a great game at LSU that has looked pretty good here lately. They beat the hell out of LSU, and you've got going to Georgia, then you've got possibly the SEC championship. There's a lot more opportunities for Hendon Hooker, I think, to put himself in the limelight and win that thing and solidify it, regardless of what CJ does, because he's just played in more big games. But the respect factor, that was my main thing on the lead, was that you're not seeing them in the headlines right now because what Cone said, they were on the bye week, and there was a bunch of crazy things that happened in a big storyline, big headline weekend in college football. It's the nature of the beast. But they handle Iowa this week. People will get excited. They go and handle Penn State the next week. You'll continue to hear about Ohio State.
And as we sit here right now, C.J. Stroud is still the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman at plus 100. But Hendon Hooker's right behind him at number 2. And what we were saying the other day is I don't think Hendon Hooker is going to put up the kind of numbers that C.J. Stroud is throughout the season. So the only way to combat that is with huge wins. And he's got one in the bucket now. That is a generational win. And now you're going to get an opportunity for another one when you go between the hedges and play Georgia on the road. Hendon Hooker wins that game, it's not going to really matter how many more yards someone else throws for, how many more touchdowns, because he's going to throw for enough. With wins like that, that's going to really put him in the conversation.
Can we bring up Tennessee's schedule?
The odds-on favorite.
Because I want to see if they technically
clinch
if they beat Georgia when they play them.
Well, keep in mind, they'll play Kentucky first at home.
Yep. Okay, so you beat Kentucky. That's another East team. You got South Carolina, who you should beat. Go through.
You got a tough one this weekend versus Tennessee Martin. We'll see who wins that game.
Look, they got.
Hey, I'll have no Tennessee Martin hate on here. They care. Look, okay, they're motivated.
Yeah, you basically said Vandy was a bye week, so I don't want to hear after the disrespect.
I'm sorry
about the Commodores' anger down. All right, then you go. Then you have Kentucky at home. Will Levis, the biggest bust in NFL history. Then you have you go to Georgia.
Will Levis,
Jamarcus Russell.
I was about to say.
First round, he's not a first-round guy. I'm sorry. He's not a first-round guy.
Bust.
I think we can all agree he's not a first-round guy. I mean, we do right now, Will Levis better than Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud?
I take Will Rogers over him.
Will Rogers? I mean, where he's at in the SEC, you probably take AR-15 over him.
Yeah. Honestly, I probably would.
All right, then you have Missouri at home. Shout out Coach Drink. Then you go to South Carolina. Then you go to the one and only Vanderbilt Commodores.
They play Vandy last, Tennessee, though?
At Vandy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. One more Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Nola P.
Nola P.
I don't know where your question went, but my brain is huge, so I remember it. Do you think if the loser, maybe Tennessee or Georgia, will have a better odds on to get in the playoffs? If they don't have to play in the SEC.
So we've seen this with Alabama before. We've seen Alabama get in without winning the division. Now that is Alabama, and they always give Nick Saban the benefit of the doubt and Hulk hands instead of a rawhide wallet for Christmas. It's just going to depend on what happens outside, because again, I'm looking around. All right, you got a good feeling Clemson's going to go undefeated. If they do, you pencil them in. You got one team at least from the Big Ten coming in, and then if Alabama makes the SEC championship game and loses to, let's say, a Georgia, if Georgia beats Tennessee, or a Tennessee if Tennessee beats Georgia, that gives Bama 2 losses. Then you look out and you say, what did UCLA do? What did TCU do? From the Big 12, it doesn't look like you're going to have a team in this year, at least where we're standing right now. I think there's a possibility that could happen. The biggest question with that is, would they Would the committee put a third SEC team in? I don't think there's any chance in hell they do it.
Well, like we said, since Alabama already has a loss, for them to only have one loss at the end of the season means they won the SEC, right?
Yep.
I don't think a team that doesn't win the West Division in the SEC will make the playoff this year. I think it's much more likely that a team from the East.
Oh, I agree with that.
Right? Let's say that Tennessee goes and loses on the road at Georgia, but you already have banked the win against Alabama. That's more likely. Or even the Michigan-Ohio game, the loser of that who doesn't win the Big Ten East, I think would have a better resume to be able to slide in if something weird were to happen in the conference championship.
Definitely. Well, we have David Pollack coming in here in a minute. We're going to stay with the Booster Club lane for a couple more.
Okay, cool. Reed Rickett says, no UT Martin hating here. There are alumni listening. Yeah.
Reed Rickett, yes.
She's a UT Martineer.
Exactly. There we go.
We had kind of go back to
the team there.
She's All-American.
Wow.
Loser of the
You should see her. So she
whether or
jumps
not
horses all the time. So she like jumps over things a lot in the house, like just randomly.
Really?
Yeah. No, she doesn't. That's sad. And by the way, when I said she had dark energy yesterday, that's kind of an inside joke between me and her. It ruffled a few feathers, let's just say.
Really? Are you in the doghouse?
In the community. No,
okay.
I'm not. Not anymore.
You ready to go? Y'all good?
No, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Ready to go?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
So they said maybe the loser of whether or not the Lakers make the playoffs get a pie in the face.
The loser gets a pie in the face. I'll do that.
Golly, that
I'm so down. I'm
seems
so
like
down
a
with
win
doing that.
to me.
I'm so down with doing that.
Ethan Williams says even if Hennon plays well against UGA, he's got the Heisman in the bag. But yeah, they got to win that game.
Even if he does or does?
Says does. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he meant to say doesn't.
Well, I think he may mean if he does play well in the game, but they still lose, he's still got it in the bag. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because CJ's big games are late.
Yeah, like again, and we all know it's the ones who break late. Are you in the headlines late? And because y'all, I can't stand the way they do the Heisman voting. I think former Heisman winners should do the Heisman voting. I feel like that's the way it should
This
go.
time last year, who did we say had it in the bag, boys? Matt Corral. There was no way he was going to lose the Heisman this time last year.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go.
Bryce broke late.
There's still a long way to go.
Yeah. Y'all two definitely said that. All right, let's go to Texas
What
Ed.
are you saying? Y'all two.
I didn't say Matt Corral had the Heisman in the bag.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
We all
I feel like
You were
he
just
said those
in love with
exactly
Matt
where.
Corral last
Stop
year.
it.
You're just in love with him. Couldn't do any wrong.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
Matt Corral's a dog.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, he played in the bowl game. You think David got on his knee and tried to propose to him. Let's go to Texas
All right,
Ed.
that's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful after the Vandy comment you made earlier. Most important game of the weekend, UCLA at Oregon. If the Bruins lose the Pac-12, they can say the Pac-12 can say bye, Felicia, to the playoffs.
That's exactly right. You can have the Big 12 saying bye.
Oregon Pac-12 champion not get in?
49-3 to Georgia, though? That's bad.
Week one.
Man. Week one. Okay, then lose 10-7 like Clemson did to Georgia or something.
Reigning national champions.
Huh?
Reigning national
Well, it's
49-3?
Again, we have to dribble this ball out because if you do have UCLA lose this weekend, which I got a feeling they're not, I think UCLA is going to win. I'm big on Charbonnet. I think that team's physical. They've really kind of changed their brand, at least for this year. If UCLA has one loss, Clemson doesn't lose, you know Clemson's in. One team from the Big Ten gets in. The question is now, you're going to get in the debate, if UCLA has a loss and TCU loses, that do you now have could you have the possibility, if Clemson actually loses, where two Big Ten teams and two SEC teams get in? You have Michigan, Ohio State, and let's just say Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama, Georgia, or Alabama, Tennessee. People would be so pissed.
I don't see it.
And speaking about people being pissed, I'll tell you who's not pissed. Me, when we have David Pollck on from College GameDay. Unbelievably good looking, unbelievably smart, and knows what he's doing when it comes to college football. DP, what's up, man?
What up, dogs? All these scenarios are so fun, but how about being this far into the season? And I think you could say legitimately you have at least one contender from each conference, which we haven't been able to say that. Usually by now we're like, hey, Pac-12, okay, y'all go sit down in the corner over there. Yep. Y'all have fun. You're not in the party, so it's kind of cool to have, at least one team from each conference still in it.
Yeah, it's nice to have some other teams at the grown-ups table at Thanksgiving. Now the Pac-12 and Big 12 doesn't have to sit there and just drink sparkling cider the whole time while we all drink some vino at the big boy table. But DP, part of me, obviously, you've seen that, like Blaine put it so eloquently and articulately, that more teams in college football are in the middle class now. You've seen some teams, whether it's through the transfer portal, that middle class kind of get a little bit thicker, a little bit deeper. You look at the top, it feels like there's more parity up there. It feels like there's more teams that can win the national championship, and I hope that's true. But part of me thinks maybe I'm still really excited that college football is still here. Maybe it's still somewhat early, and I just hope we're not seeing a rerun of last year of when Alabama lost to A&M like they did against Tennessee. Then we see Alabama, Georgia again in the SEC championship where Alabama wins. Then it's Alabama and Georgia. Then Michigan is more physical than Ohio State again in their end, and Clemson goes undefeated in their end. But who knows? So I want to start with you here. It's a great segue into my first question. I'm going to keep complimenting myself as I get to this question.
Nothing new.
It's good. It's just I read this book. It's called Compliment Yourself. Who cares? Who is the best team, DP, in the SEC right now?
I think it's definitely debatable. But I would lean towards Georgia being the most complete team. If you're talking about who's accomplished the most, then I'd probably lean towards Tennessee because, strength of schedule, they're obviously top 10. They're really high in strength of schedule. They, what they feel like to me? They very much feel like LSU 2019, where they've got the unstoppable offense. They found themselves versus, Texas early in the season that year. Tennessee found themselves and had to survive versus Pitt on the road. I think having the Florida game at home, having the Bama game at home is a big time help to try to ease into it. But, what does your belief level go to? But you know what? I'm going to go off on this real quick.
Do it.
I'm interested to hear what people think about Alabama. Because if there wasn't an A next to their name on their helmet, I don't think they'd be ranked in the top 6. I don't think we'd be talking about them like people are still talking about them positively. After the game, I was like, oh, my God, that's the best win of the season for Tennessee. It's the biggest win of the season. Then I'm like, all right, Bama struggled against A&M. Bama struggled against Texas like crazy. Got fortunate with a backup quarterback. The penalties are through the roof. The turnovers, they're just how good is Alabama? And so I found myself, questioning how much did I love that win. And listen, Tennessee's offense is unreal. It's ungodly. Can their defense be bend but don't break and be solid? It might be enough. But I'm super impressed with Josh Heupel in Tennessee. Just to think about where they were and where they are now is just absolutely stupid, and he's done a great job. But I would go with Georgia because I think Georgia is probably the most complete team in the SEC. So that's why I'd probably lean Georgia.
I'm with you. I think Georgia's the most balanced. I want to see what you think about this, DP. I was talking about this yesterday. When I look at Tennessee and this team, I offensively, you look at 2020 Bama, how talented they were. All right, you look at 2019 LSU, right? We've seen teams with elite offenses and just good defenses, not elite defenses, not great defenses, win the national championship. 2010 Auburn had Cam Newton. We know what he was able to do. Was that defense Auburn had elite? No, but they had a couple stars. They had Nick Fairley. They had Josh Bynes. LSU 2019 offense, one of the best we've ever seen. That defense wasn't great. It was good, but they had a couple stars that would come through in big games. 2020 Bama, very similar. That defense wasn't the best one that Saban's had, but they had stars in places in big games. Does Tennessee have those couple stars that in those big games at the end that you have to win, or maybe those 1 or 2 games left where the offense isn't clicking at full rate like we know they don't in baseball and basketball and football? Do they have those stars, a couple of them that can step up in those games that Tennessee has to have? Or is Tennessee more out of the vein of Oklahoma with Baker Mayfield? Can score a lot of points, but does not have the stars to be able to stop anybody with an elite offense? That's my last question in Tennessee, and I think that's what we may find out against Georgia. Your thoughts? Well,
Byron Young is a star. If you watch number 6 and you pay attention to college football, the dude's all over the place. Otherwise, I think it's kind of by committee with defense, but he'll pressure the quarterback. He'll line stunt. He'll make things happen like crazy. The interesting thing about comparing this Tennessee team to those other offenses, they also don't have a star at running back. And that's what I don't understand. Like, I have no comprehension for what in God's name Alabama was doing. Like, if I'm playing those stacks that they did, and if I'm playing the wide splits, dude, I'm going to play you just like Georgia did last year. Even though they were great, throw the screen, I'm going to tackle it for 6. Throw the screen, I'm going to tackle it for 5. You know what I'm going to do? In the red zone, punch me in the mother freaking mouth. Let's see what you got. Because
run power at me.
Yes, Tennessee up front with the offensive line. Can you punch me in the mouth and get those short yardage situation, goal line situations? Do you have a back good enough? To me, that determines whether Tennessee is really going to be a team that's in the playoffs and in the national championship picture.
Man, I love that. I want to switch gears here a little bit before I kick it over to David Cohn. Shout out Sarah Fuller. UCLA or Oregon? This week, when I look at UCLA, Pollack, I see a team that is different than any UCLA team that I've seen. They are playing a physical brand of football. I want to credit Zach Charbonnet a little bit for coming over there, and it seems like he brought a little bit of that mindset. DTR has grown up in front of our eyes, but those guys get after you up front, unlike I've seen a Chip Kelly team. They're not a finesse teams like some of the ones he had at Oregon. Then Oregon changed their mindset a little bit when Cristobal came in. Now you see Dan Lanning trying to continue that physical mindset. But UCLA this year, to me, is very similar to what Utah has done in that conference. But when you look at the Big 12 and you watch the way that Oklahoma State and Baylor kind of flipped their identity and became the physical teams in a conference that wasn't known for physicality, I know Oregon got boat raced by Georgia week 1. I take that with a grain of salt. It was the first week. Georgia's unbelievably talented. UCLA is not Georgia. But I do question Oregon's physicality a little bit up front. And UCLA wants to lean on you. And Chip is smart enough and he's malleable enough to know that just because my system isn't what it used to be doesn't mean it can't be just as effective. I think they lean on Charbonnet and crew. I love UCLA this year. I don't know if they're going to go undefeated, but I love them kind of changing their brand and their identity a little bit to want to punch you in the mouth.
Well, and I think the biggest difference between this team, I don't think you mentioned him, is Jake Bobo.
He's the Duke transfer? Oh, God.
He's a star.
NFL player.
Just watch Clark Phillips from Utah, who's a lockdown corner, try to guard him. He snapped his ankles at 2 yards. Yeah. I mean, he's crossed him up something fierce. Like, he's definitely – I think with the Chip Kelly offense and the way they run the football, and DTR can stretch you one way, Charbonnet can stretch you, the multiple tight end packages, the stacks, what they do. Having a guy with all that wide cross stuff that he likes to do, all the mesh he likes to do, like Bobo, that can win, I think makes a big difference. But, yeah, I like UCLA. I like DTR's demeanor up until this point. I've just seen DTR do this a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me to go, I trust that dude every week. And I think this will be a big test. Oregon's defense, I've studied them this week. I'm doing a tape on them for game day. They're not good. They're still very young. They're not a great front seven. They're not a great defense yet. But I'll say this too. You study, Oregon's offense. I think they know exactly who they are. And Bo Nix, running and throwing, using him as a legit running weapon is going to be hard for UCLA to stop too. So I think we could be in for another Pac-12 fun shootout that everybody's going to enjoy.
Definitely. Y'all are going to be there at game day, correct? That's the game this week?
Yes, sir. Bright and early, 6 a.m. local, nice and dark when game day starts, baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I love that. David, I agree with you on Alabama. Since the Texas game, they have not looked like a complete football team. And it's more, it's more than just Bryce Young being banged up. I mean, he still threw for 450 this game. They're getting penalized more than any Alabama team we've seen. They're not creating, they're not creating turnovers like we're accustomed to seeing from Alabama. But I've seen this movie before, David. I even saw it last year. I mean, Alabama collapsed in the second half on the road against Florida. They hang on for a win. They lose on the road at Texas A&M, somehow still win the conference, and they compete in the national championship last year. Do you think Alabama finds a way, David, to make the college football playoff?
You called it last year.
Wait a minute. So you've seen Alabama give up 500 points like they did last week? You've seen them give up over 50? Because it hasn't happened since like 1906.
I've seen Nick Saban win 5 of his 7 national championships with having 1 loss. And to this point right now, they only have 1 loss.
I get it. I'm not buying it. I'm just not. Like, I think Bryce Young is elite. He's watched Jamari Gibbs. He's elite. Yeah. They're not great at tight end. They're not great at wide receiver. They're not great on the offensive line. I think their pass rush is good. My God, their secondary got carved up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. I know what you're saying, but you know what? All of the Nick Saban teams you're talking about, David, had one thing across the board that was very, very significant. They didn't beat themselves.
Yes.
They didn't have stupid penalties. They didn't turn the football over. Yeah. This team does that too consistently. I mean, you talk about 32 penalties between Texas and this past week in Tennessee. Like, It's mind-blowing. The special teams has been bad. Like, I know kicking has been consistently bad. Will Riker fell off the edge of the planet. Like,
yeah, he did.
I'm not buying that they're going to put, they're going to put now the rest of the season. Because what it's going to take for Bama to get in the to playoffs and to win it, they have to win out. Yes. We know that. So am I buying Alabama to win out the rest of the season? I'm not.
I'm with him there. And I'll say, Pollack, I've been let down by the pass rush for Alabama. I mean, it's been good, but it's not been what we thought. And look, I know Will Anderson's getting doubled more than a cheeseburger from McDonald's, but I mean, at some point, then Dallas Turner should be balling. And I'm not talking about just picking up balls that are left on the ground and running into the end zone. And I know Tennessee gets the ball out quick, and that pace kind of slows down the pass rush, and it's built for that. But I've been let down by the pass rush.
And I agree. I don't think Alabama makes the playoff this year. But what I was telling these guys is I do still think they have a shot to win the West. And if Nick Saban finds a way to win the West and is in Atlanta in December, he's either going to play a Georgia team who just beat him in the national title, or he's going to play a Tennessee team that just beat him in Knoxville. I don't want to see Nick Saban with the former Heisman Trophy winner on his side in a revenge game.
I tell you what, them playing LSU at night.
David, I think important thing to say about that this year versus past years too is Auburn ain't any good.
Yep.
LSU's up and down. They're okay. Ole Miss is the next best team in the conference. Mississippi State, like, it ain't like the SEC West is murderer's row like it used to be, and
I know
they have to be great down the stretch. So I will give you that. Like, the conference isn't near as strong, I don't think, as it's been in the past.
Yeah. Quickly on the Big Ten here. The Buckeyes were off last week, but they've been drumming everybody. They haven't gotten a lot of challenges, kind of like we were talking about Michigan's schedule early in the season. But Michigan had a nice win over Penn State. They rushed for 416. Do you think the Wolverines and the Buckeyes will meet undefeated on November 26th?
I think there's two big obstacles, and it's both the week before they play. Yep. Ohio State plays Maryland the week before at Maryland. Mm-hmm. Again, so I'm thinking about Michigan. I'm thinking about the Big Ten championship. I'm thinking about playoffs. Maryland can score. I think Tungavaloa will be back, maybe by that time. He might miss this week, but he'll be back. So that could be a test, a small test for Ohio State. And then Michigan's got Illinois. If you're not watching Illinois, guys.
Oh, I know.
Here's what Bielema did, guys. He went to the Patriots with Bill Belichick for 2 years. And he took the defensive playbook and he took it right to Illinois. He took it right to Champaign, bro. They run cover one 70% of the time. They're going to stack the box against Michigan. What do you have to do with Michigan? You better stop the run. You better make McCarthy make plays down the field. We haven't seen him do a ton of that. He did it in the Penn State game a couple of times. He's going to have to continue to evolve. David, I need to find receivers too. Bell, I trust. Who else on the outside
Roman
will
Wilson.
Step up?
I think Roman Wilson can step up, but we need to get him the ball behind the line of scrimmage more because J.J. McCarthy's still overthrowing some of these deep passes.
Yeah, but so I think those two games are the biggest chances. But the Big Ten, there's not a lot of challenges. There's not a lot of offense in the Big Ten. So I think both of those teams will be undefeated before we get to that point. Blaine, you can now speak.
Okay, thank you, David. I was just waiting for your confirmation on that. And the first thing I'll say this, it's like, look, we need to tread carefully going down the road of doubting Alabama.
This
guys, I get it.
This is not your run-of-the-mill Bama team.
It just looks different, but there's still one guy who walks around pissed off on that sideline with a headset on, and that's Nick Saban. Okay, and they still have Bryce Young at quarterback, who is the best quarterback, in my opinion, in college football. The only reason, Bryce was outplaying the Alabama players on that game. Alabama players were dropping balls. Jameer Gibbs dropped that angle pass on that last. If Jameer Gibbs catches that ball, they score a touchdown.
If Candy,
that's why the Merry Christmas. I know, I get it. But still, it's Alabama. All right, so I'm saying they're going to win the West.
You think so?
Oh, they're going to win the West?
It's a lock.
I know
they're going to win the West. They're going to go beat Ole Miss and LSU on the road?
Yes.
Oh, let's
what is the LSU, some juggernaut this year?
If Jane
Daniels just learned to throw the ball down the field
which is the scariest thing that could ever happen to anybody that's playing LSU.
Okay,
you go play at Ole Miss, we'll make a bet on it. I bet you Alabama loses either at Ole Miss or at LSU. I bet you they drop one of those games. That's fine. We'll put 100.
This is what I do every day, David.
Right now.
That's stop by every day. Yeah, I love that.
We'll put 100 on it right now.
I mean, you're doing
Blaine,
yes.
The only reason what you're saying is I'm going to buy just a smidge of is because Bryce Young is the freaking dude.
The truth.
And if you watched him in that game, I have a lot of people. People got pissed at me on Twitter like I give a rat's ace, first of all. But people got pissed at me when I said by far the best player on the field was Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Hendon Hooker's awesome. The offense is awesome. What they did was amazing. Bryce Young was pulling just rabbit after rabbit after rabbit. Like, the dude looks like Steph Curry. Like, he just
Wow, that's a good comp.
That is.
He just has this unbelievable playmaking knack that is just stupid to keep his eyes down the field and you see him make throws. So I'll give you that. But besides that, I struggle with everywhere else. I mean, Gibbs is a freak show too.
Starting NFL running back.
I mean, I give you that, but
I'm just
He's the closest thing to Kamara we've seen.
What surprises me the most is just they don't have the impact player receiver.
Well, they're not getting all the calls either. And Bama's not getting away with holding like they used to.
No.
And look, I'm not saying that they cheated to win any national championship. I'm not saying that. But Bama used to hold more than a Swiss bank account now, and they'd get away with it. They're getting penalized now a little bit on it. I think that's something we need to take notice of.
Okay, let's go
real quick.
Booster Club here. Texas Ed, Dave, you wants to know, is the Big 12 more likely to dissolve into chaos than getting somebody into the playoff?
I think so, because I think there's so many quality teams in the Big 12. I think it's the most competitive league top to bottom. And here's another thing too. And people hated this when I said this the other day. If Texas had a quarterback that was healthy the whole season, they'd be undefeated.
I don't think that's crazy.
One in the Big 12.
If you look at Quinn Ewers and the way he's played football, dude, that dude is money.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson is money. Roshan Johnson comes in the game. He can run the
Tank.
football. By the way, Worthy on the outside is an absolute
Gillette.
freaky Friday with speed. So, I mean, they've got a player at every level that can destroy you. But I'll be interested to see Texas down the stretch. And here's one thing to throw out there. If Texas runs the table, wins the Big 12, hear me out. The committee, when they started this whole flipping thing, said we absolutely take injuries into account when you say a team. Big 12 champ, lost without their starting quarterback twice, was dominating Alabama with their starting quarterback in there. Do you look at Texas and go, maybe they're a team that deserves to be in the college football playoff? How they finish will go a long way in determining that. But that is a stipulation that was inserted by the committee to start when they started this whole playoff thing.
Yeah. Do you think, though, with 2 losses, though, it almost eliminates you if it was 1 loss and you're on the outside looking in? I mean, because I think there's a chance, as crazy as this sounds, that TCU runs the table. I think there's a chance at that. I really do legitimately think Max Duggan's got a little Narnia in him. I can tell there's a little bit of old magic in there.
He's
somewhere.
He's
I've lived in Council Bluffs. I'm telling you what, like you walk in, you run into like Gandalf and Mr. Tumnus and people like that. That's where they live. In Council Bluffs, 100%. They come walking out of the woods in the water. You think I'm kidding. But
I have no freaking clue what you're talking about at all whatsoever. I've never heard of any of those things.
Welcome to the show.
Gandalf, David? From Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I've heard of Gandalf. That's
okay,
it,
thank you.
Bluffs and crap. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's in Iowa. That's a place in Iowa.
Yeah.
If TCU and Alabama played next weekend, who would you take?
Alabama.
I'd take the over.
I mean, after watching what Tennessee did to Alabama, Duggan and a better wide receiver core with TCU's a freaky Friday wide receiver core.
It's unreal.
I think they would carve up Bama too. So I just think that's an interesting thing to see how TCU does too.
I'm with you 100%. We may end up seeing that in a bowl game if neither one of them make it. But DP, I really appreciate it, my friend. I know you guys are super busy, especially this time of year. Catch them. They're going to be at Oregon for College GameDay. Pollck's all over ESPN. Hey, great job.
I got to go visit with my Council of Bluff people right quick.
Hey, good. The Council of Bluffs. I love it. Hey, by the way, great job in the Home Depot commercial, man. Great job. I've seen that.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, brother, for real. Tell everybody we
no
said
problem,
hey.
guys. Have a good one.
All right. See you. David Pollack, again, one of our favorite guys to have on. Always fantastic. We're going to get into our NFL quick hitch here in a second. Right when we get back from the break, remember, if you want to watch the rest of this, all right, you can listen to it if you stay here. But if you want to watch it with your eyes, mind, and your heart, you head over to the Daily Wire Plus right now. You become a member, okay? And then, just for a little extra effort, a little extra credit, you listen on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and leave a 5-star review and share it with your friends and your family, who should also be your friends. We'll be right back. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's time for Get Off My Lawn, which is a segment created by David Cohn, who was a Heisman candidate, almost got into 7-footer island, and he's probably pissed at somebody. Or are you?
Boys, today I am telling Chargers All-Pro linebacker Khalil Mack to get on my lawn. Yes. Prior to the Chargers-Broncos Monday Night Football matchup, ESPN ran a story detailing Khalil Mack's passion for music, and they had me hooked from the very beginning. I never knew that one of the most feared edge rushers of my generation was so musically inclined. And it reminded me greatly of my own relationship with music. Khalil grew up singing gospel hymns in church with his father. So did I. Khalil taught himself how to play guitar while in college watching YouTube videos. So did I. And if you consider the fact that Khalil Mack is currently an NFL superstar and I'm currently an NFL free agent, well, we're practically best friends, okay? I'm best friends with Khalil Mack, guys. More seriously, though, this is the type of storytelling that made so many of us love ESPN during our childhoods. And I want to applaud the network when they get one right, because it strengthens my hope that we can all unite through commonality and rise above our differences. So, Khalil Mack, you're welcome on the lawn, my friend. Let's get you in studio for a jam session after the season. We'll have the guitars out, we'll have the grill going, and you can even tackle Blaine as hard as you want, and we will never call roughing the passer.
Never.
Let's go, boys.
Great job. Hey, great job right there. We got a clip too of Khalil here?
We got a
clip.
Are you putting my life on the line?
You always said you want to get tackled by one of these guys to come in studio.
You have said that.
I just want him to know we're not going to call roughing the passer.
Yes, I'm down. I'll do it for the clicks.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we go. Look, I appreciate it.
No, I'm a big us guy, not a me guy.
Yeah, you're a we guy, not
a we guy, not a me guy.
You're a team guy.
You definitely are a team guy, super team guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's run this clip of Khalil Mack, who, if this is him at 12 years old, it makes sense why he's ripping people apart. Let's run it.
What came first, your love for sports or your love for music?
I feel like it had to be music.
That's him as a 12?
That's him at 12.
My dad.
Is that Nick?
Man, they sound good,
him?
though.
They do.
They can sing.
Introduction of just music in general, seeing him sing in the church choir.
Hey, Russell Wilson, I'm gonna rip your legs off.
Man, I just love to see that.
That's all.
He just seems like a cool
I love
dad.
to see it. Both of his brothers have music out on Spotify, I believe. Or
Really?
One has an EP out, the other one sings too. So both of his brothers and his dad, they all sing gospel music.
Do you think when he's like running after the quarterback, he's like, hey there, Russell
Come here,
Wilson.
quarterback. That's the hit single.
All right, I do want to say something too while you were. I do want to say this. That was great. I love when you call when you get one right. We love to tell people when they get one right here, but somebody got one wrong. The NHL. I need somebody to explain this to me because it's
What happened?
Unexplicable.
What'd the NHL do?
They put out their equity and inclusion hiring process, basically.
Oh, no.
They want to be more inclusive into hockey, which here's my problem. Isn't it racist when you hire people based on their race?
That's what I was always
Isn't that the definition of racism? Why don't we just hire people on merit? Why don't we just hire people that are qualified? Isn't the most racist thing you can do say you need to hire this percentage of people that look like this and this percentage of people that look like this? Aren't those people the real racists? Like, I don't get it. It's like in the NFL, right? People say, well, the league's 75% black. You want to know why? Because those are the best players right now. They're going to get the best players. They're not going to say, oh, you're white, you're black, you're Asian, you're Hispanic. No, if that was the case, then the NFL would be racist against everybody. They'd be racist against everybody. They'd be racist against white people because there's not enough white coaches. They'd be racist against black people because there's not enough black coaches. They'd be racist against white people because there's not enough white players. They'd be racist against Hispanics, Asians, Mongolians, Indonesians, Indians, everybody, because they're not playing in the NFL or really coaching in the NFL. That's not how it should work. You want to kill racism? Treat everybody the same. You don't need to have the Rooney Rule. And people say, oh, well, we need to make sure people are getting hired. Well, guess what? Hire people on merit. Hire people on true qualifications. Then you will get the best people for the job, and it will work itself out. It just blows my mind that by trying to defeat racism, you become racist. That's like the same people that try and lose weight and drink 4 Slim Fasts a day. It doesn't make sense.
So the NFL or the NHL just announced this?
Yeah, they just announced it. Somebody explain that to me because it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. Let's end racism by hiring a certain amount of people from each race.
Build more skating rinks in the South.
Yeah, and by the way, hockey's a really expensive sport to start. People just aren't running around playing hockey everywhere in every single neighborhood from the wealthiest to the poorest. That's not how that works.
I would have loved to have played growing up, but unfortunately, the lakes freeze over in Canada and in the north, and they can play year round. I mean,
I lived in Alabama.
Yeah, it just is, sir. This is a
this is a hockey
bigger news. The Flyers are 3-0.
Yeah,
the Flyer, your new team.
There it is.
3-0.
There it is.
Boy, the Flames came back good last.
That's exactly right. Blaine, what's flaming in the booster club?
First of all, Justin Decker, no. I'm not running a crossing route to let Khalil kill me.
Come on,
anything,
man.
I'm in the pocket.
For the team.
I'll do a little drop back. That's not blindside. He has to become where I can see him. Let's make sure there's no roughing the passer.
Wait, we said there is no roughing the passer.
No, there will be no penalty.
There's no roughing the passer.
First of all, from the guys who aren't getting hit, I'm
going to put on a straight jacket and do the one-chip challenge.
You made a bet.
Yeah, that's right. You said you would do this.
Exactly, but there's parameters around it. He's not getting a 60-yard head start to come kill me. You have a life, though.
40 yards.
40? 40?
How much?
Y'all are, if he looks like that when he's 12.
He's going to play music with us first.
How much force could you really generate from 40 yards?
A lot. A lot. If you look like Bane, what do you mean?
Oh,
all right, let's go to Carson Everett, $4.99.
Thank you.
Hey, Carson.
NBA bet should be a loser wears a pantsuit like a certain former first lady on the show.
Oh, God. Wear the pantsuit?
A pantsuit?
Not the pantsuit, man. Not the Kyler Murray lime green. He went into Hillary's closet and got the lime green pantsuit.
Man, if Knowles wore it, he'd look just like Rachel Maddow. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Man. Put his hair up, start lying to everybody. Keep going.
All right, let's go to Certified Clapaholic says Michigan came out in the second half and shut Indiana out and dominated them at the line of scrimmage. Stop making judgments off of box scores alone, my guy. Try actually watching the games. I guess this was about something that happened earlier.
Is he responding to someone in the chat?
Yeah, I know. They're going at it, and I really want to...
Oh, wow, yeah. I was about to say, you're talking about us, dude. We literally watch every game.
Let's go. I know Jimbo Eagle...
was there Michigan hate in the chat?
I don't know if it's Michigan hate. I think he's defending Michigan, actually. So let's go to this question so I kind of dive in a little bit deeper, play game of operation. Does Syracuse have any chance versus Clemson this week?
Let me think about it. I mean, yes, they have a chance. Clemson's still got to get there on the bus, but they make it to the stadium. I don't think Syracuse really has. And not saying the game won't be somewhat close, not even saying it won't be close early, maybe a little bit ugly. Maybe Syracuse goes down there, kicks the field goal up 3-0. I just don't think Syracuse up front through 4 quarters. In Clemson, inside the dome, there's been some magic, but even if they played inside the dome, I still don't think there's a great chance. Clemson is a balanced team.
They're balanced.
It looks like DJU's figured it out, and they're somewhat balanced.
I thought on the road at Florida State was really the last shot that a team like, Jordan Travis could get, go off and really, do something to try and find a way to beat Clemson because they had already taken care of Wake Forest and NC State. So I don't know, but if Syracuse does win this game, we have to start talking about them for playoff potential.
No, if Syracuse wins this game, this changes the landscape of everything.
I mean, everything.
Not just from Syracuse winning the game, but Clemson getting that one loss. Mm-hmm. That changes the landscape of everything. Do we want to hop into an NFL quick?
Yeah, I want to do this quick hitch real quick because Carson Wentz is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks now.
The hands off my Heineke.
Yeah, with I guess there's a finger injury. So Tyler Heineke is going to start for Washington.
Yeah, they said he hurt his finger flipping off Ron Rivera for talking trash about
is that how it happened?
Yeah, no, it's just the rumors. Look, at Washington, it is what it is at this point. I don't think you're a team that is a legitimate contender. You're actually the worst team in the NFC East right now when you actually look at it with what the Eagles have done and then what the Cowboys are doing as well. It's tough break for Carson Wentz, but look, the guy gets hurt more than a high school girl's feelings. I mean, at what point?
Yeah. Rams running back Cam Akers has been sidelined as LA searches for a trade. Head coach Sean McVay says the team has explored the option of finding the running back a fresh new start with another team.
It's been weird. It's been wonky with Cam Akers really ever since he's been there. I just feel like either something kind of happened behind closed doors. Maybe he was upset about playing time. They were upset about his. You remember a couple weeks ago they said basically that he needed to want it more. or something similar to that. I just think it's a bad fit. Whenever that starts happening, you start hearing that, it's really just a matter of time. Not that Cam Akers can't turn it around, or not that Cam Akers isn't a good player. I think he can go to another franchise, get a fresh start for Breeze Brothers, Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell. It's really fresh up here. I hope he does, and I hope he figures it out because he's a talented young man.
Our new hometown team, the Tennessee Titans. Looks like they're going to get a new stadium, boys, for $2.2 billion. They have the Titans and Nashville Mayor John Cooper on Monday unveiled details of a potential $2.2 billion deal for a new stadium.
I love it. All right, I absolutely love it. Yes, we are. I'm in Nashville, so it obviously helps out. But I'm just thinking in the next 5 years, Major League Baseball team. You got the Preds right here. Welcome to Smashville. And then you've got a brand new Titans $2.2
host the Final
billion
Four.
I mean,
They'll
you have
host all
that.
sorts of
Maybe
stuff.
SEC championship
Maybe SEC
game.
championship
SEC championship game. Come on up here to Las Vegas,
Let's
baby.
do it.
You already got the men's basketball tournament there. Atlanta, hell, it's like a war zone downtown right there. We worked out of the College Football Hall of Fame. I mean, it was Black Hawk Down like every single day in there trying to get everybody through there.
Look,
That's because
new stadium, cool. Why don't we invest in a new quarterback?
I don't think that's a bad idea either.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
Look, we're Ryan
I'm
Tannehill.
going to do that because
We're in the fight right now. I'm saying we're because I'm assimilating.
Can I
the
say
Titans
something
culture.
too? Can I say something too? And I'm not taking full credit for this, but I feel like the state of Georgia and quite possibly the state of Tennessee owes me something. Moved to Georgia last year.
Yes.
Never lived there. Georgia wins the national championship. The Braves win the World Series. Moved to Tennessee. First year. Look what Tennessee's doing right now. Is it me?
The Jake Crane
Is it
juju,
me?
Yes.
Is it? I mean, let's look at the Titans. Are the Titans about to win the Super Bowl? If Tennessee wins a national championship and the Titans win the Super Bowl, there's something to it.
Yeah, y'all want
There's something to it.
Y'all want a Major League Baseball team up here?
Yes.
Cool. Knew y'all were fake Braves fans.
Well, no.
What did
Hold
you
on.
just
Don't.
say?
I didn't say. Don't.
I would love a Major League.
He
I never
responded.
said
I'm going to be a Braves fan.
I never said they'd be my
Knew
favorite
it.
team. I'd like to. Reed's never been to a baseball game.
Take you to a Braves game.
Oh yeah, sure. When do they play again?
Did y'all date when you lived in Georgia?
Yes, well, we went to the SEC championship game.
Look, I'm chop on. I'm
what do you
chop
mean
on
when
for
y'all
life,
lived in
Blaine.
Georgia? You lived with me in Georgia.
No,
She
you
lived
said
in
Braves game.
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, but
I'm chop on for life. Chop on for life.
I am too.
Hey, one more here. I know this isn't NFL, but the chat asked yesterday about the Bubba Wallace incident in
Yes.
racing. So we pulled this clip here. Now, NASCAR has announced that they have suspended Bubba Wallace for the next Cup Series championship event after the incident that happened with Kyle Larson in Vegas. I pulled the clip of the crash and then the fight. You guys go.
Yeah, let's do it. We're talking about NASCAR, so it worked. Let's go ahead.
Big battle off of turn 4 here.
Turn around, turn 4. This train's pain. It's wild out here today, boys.
Back across the track.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
As I'm spinning, I'm thinking about the ways I'm fighting you right now. I just love the announcers. I just absolutely love the announcers. So he takes him out.
Yep.
Then we have the altercation. Let's play it. They love to see you smile. It's true. Hey, man. Oh, yeah. Come on, man. Oh, dude in the blue is scared.
Kyle Larson.
God, dude in the blue wants no smoke. He wants no smoke.
And you know what? He didn't get suspended.
He wants no smoke. It's NASCAR, man. We're out there. I mean, everybody's hammered. You're taking lefts the whole time at 240 miles
Turning
an
left,
hour,
baby.
And you're trying to wreck me. I'm trying to wreck you. I feel like he should have got a promotion.
Who? Bubba Wallace?
Yes, I
Why?
think he should get paid more because we're talking about NASCAR.
No.
Look, do you want me to sit here and not condone fighting? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
No, look, he did not get suspended for fighting. Racers fight after. It's intentionally crashing into Kyle
That
Larson
is-
in the turn.
that-
that's
that
how people
should-
die.
Yeah.
That's how people die.
That's a totally different
And
story.
Bubba Wallace put his hands on race officials.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
see,
like-
I didn't see
like
that.
Okay, yeah, that's
racing
fine.
officials going over and drivers get in fights, but that stuff of switching, he intentionally switched lanes and got into this guy's tail.
That
and
happens
created a
all the
wreck.
time, though, in NASCAR.
What does?
People tailing people and spinning people.
Well, look, Rubbin's racing. You don't have to tell
Yeah,
me
but
about
taking
it. But
people out, you see it all
to
the
me,
time.
Kyle Larson didn't start this. He didn't brush
Yeah,
shoulders
but-
with Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, but to me, if I'm Kyle Larson, like you're not coming to me like that.
First of all, yeah, they all sign a little slip before this starts. Like, your life's on the line. You're going 280 miles per hour down a road. So
yeah, but now when you switch over 3 lanes to go tailing, one race suspension. Run the clip
Let's
again.
be honest.
Run the clip again.
He
the
Vin
first
Diesel.
one.
yeah, he did 3.
Run the
First
clip
of all,
again.
they're touching.
No, they're not touching. Kyle Larson
They're
didn't
not
touch this guy.
touching?
Kyle
Are you
Larson
blind?
didn't touch this guy. Kyle Larson didn't
Run the
touch
clip.
this guy.
They're touching.
They're not touching.
He hit the wall.
He hit it.
Bam.
It comes
Out of
over.
control.
You can't do
Out
that.
of control. You hit the wall.
You can't do
I just
that.
love
He
the
hit the
announcement.
wall.
Get out. You're suspended. Get out.
Is he
But-
suspended?
But
Yeah, one race.
But he did go get a couple nice shots.
One race.
He did.
That's
He
fine.
got- yeah.
It's NASCAR. It's NASCAR. This stuff happens all the time.
Rubbin's racing, man.
This happens all the time.
We're out here
Rubbin
turning
hit each other.
We're out here turning
fight
left,
each
Jay.
other.
I came at him like a spider monkey.
The 3 of us could go to Andretti's and we could figure it out real quick. Boy.
Real
Yeah, I'm down.
All right. I'll call a couple buddies up. My boy Kyle Rogers. You know, my brother Aaron. We'll
How about we
figure
hit
it
up
out
our boy
real quick.
Chase Elliott? Shout out Hooters.
Oh yeah, we need to hit Chase Elliott up.
Yeah, definitely.
Is
All
he
right.
coming in the studio?
Huh?
Chase Elliott's coming in the studio.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, y'all
He
stay
is.
tuned.
Definitely. Playing real quick, run from the Booster Club, and then we get to these bets.
Reed Rickett said something about
Oh, no.
You hating on Alabama. So I don't know what's going on.
We're not reading that.
after
We
the
don't
show,
read those.
But good luck to you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Travis Elrod said, #Ask Crane to Co. Why should a one-loss SEC team get in the playoff over a one-loss Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, UCLA, et cetera?
well, you know,
it
it's,
depends if it's a conference champ or not, right?
yeah. It depends if it's the conference champ. I think that has something to do with it. But you know, if we're going to say Oregon and you say, why does a one-loss Oregon not get in over, let's say, a one-loss Tennessee team that lost to Georgia by 7 points on the road, maybe because Oregon got beat by 42 in the first game. It's all circumstantial. See, I don't think you can take it and generalize it and broad brush it and say this one-loss team versus all the other teams. Every loss and every win is not created equal. So if it's a one-loss Oregon team compared to a Tennessee team that's one loss, you would want Tennessee to go win above Oregon because we saw what the Jason X Halloween flick that happened the first week against Georgia and Oregon. It's a little bit different with, let's say, maybe a TCU with one loss, or a Clemson with one loss. So everyone's not created equal. I have to see the scenario before I make a judgment because there's so many that can happen.
And the most interesting thing to me is if Alabama's only loss ends up being a 3-pointer on the road at Knoxville, and then Tennessee's only loss ends up being a close one on the road at Georgia, and Michigan's only loss is in the horseshoe by a few points on the road, that's a tough scenario.
That's a totally different animal. But another tough scenario. Look, got to give credit to Shapiro here, David.
Look, man,
Fantasy
Team
football.
Shapiro, we went down, but
Carson Wentz screwed you.
But you know what? No, I did that. I played Carson Wentz. Don't blame Carson. It's not your fault, Carson Wentz. It's my fault for playing.
You're stronger than Ron Rivera.
It's my fault for playing you. I shouldn't have done it, but it's all right because I just saw the waiver wire. We got Joe Burrow off the waiver wire, boys. We were weak at the quarterback position. We have that figured out. We're still 3-3. Everything we want, the golden tumbler is right there in front of us. We can reach out. We can grab it. So shout out Shapiro. I lost my bet. I'm going to have to wear a Mets shirt and a Mets hat next week when he's in the studio here. But I'll do that.
Yep, it's all jumbled right now. Everybody's jumbled. Typically how it works in fantasy football, we'll see at the end. After a 2-game win streak, I did lose to Team Knowles because Derrick Henry was on a bye week. Let's all be realistic about why that happened. Aaron Jones and the Packers. I'll never forgive you guys, so never ask me for anything. It's really hard for me not to write a strongly worded letter to Aaron Jones and Matt LaFleur, who's dumber than Peter LaFleur right now, to be able to give Aaron Jones the ball more. Lean on him. A.J. Dillon is not a good back. He's not a good back. He's taller Mike Tolbert. Give the ball to Aaron Jones, idiot. Team Clavin beat Sweet Baby Gang. I really want Walsh to go to this WNBA game. Well, Clavin's 4-2 right now.
Yeah.
Clavin's 4-2, so big win there for Clavin. And Blaine, you guys overtook Team Morning Wire. You guys beat Vanderbilt. Congrats.
Great win to get back on track. Look, most points in the league and most points given up in the league. So we're going to keep playing. Get Hop off the bench this week. Cooper Kupp and Jalen Hurts have a bye.
Me and you this week.
So that sucks. To my best players on fantasy, but hey.
Wait, you are playing each other this week?
Mm-hmm.
The brother matchup this week?
I have nobody on a bye.
He has
Cooper
nobody
Kupp
on a
and
bye.
Jalen
Of course,
Hurts.
my 2 best players on a bye, but hey, it's fine. We'll still get the dub. Jimmy G, picked up Jimmy G at quarterback. Try to handcuff him, believe to have Debo.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good because Debo's not doing anything lately, so yeah, they can handcuff each other.
I have a wager idea for you guys.
I think Jake doesn't need to make a bet. He's got too many bets piled
The
up.
loser of the brothers
I've got
matchup.
one piled up.
You got 2.
What's my other one?
Straight jack and you have to eat a chip.
Yeah, I'm okay, but
That's too bad.
that's one.
That's the
sitting.
mega penalty.
That's like
well,
that's
that's two
one.
separate
So it's 2 birds, 1 stone.
How about this?
Too bad.
The
Yeah, well, it's 2
loser,
birds, 1 stone.
the loser of the brother matchup has to do an all access with clown paint on their face.
No.
Clown paint with a red nose.
No.
With a red nose, Blaine.
Nope.
Huh?
John Wayne Gacy situation.
Jake's down.
No, he's not.
All right.
Why are you scared?
Let's get to bets. Blaine doesn't like clowns.
Yeah, but if he's wearing the clown makeup, he won't see it.
I'm not.
Blaine doesn't like clowns. That's why he doesn't.
So just make sure you lose, Blaine.
We'll think of something good.
All right, here's what we got tonight. Give me Georgia State on the road at App State. App State's beat up on offense. Georgia State, record's a little bit deceiving there. Bend but don't break defense. Georgia State's not great on defense, but they are like top 10 at taking the ball away. Chase Bryce and App State is totally forgotten after A&M. Give me Georgia State +8. That's going off at +100. They're a 9.5-point dog right now. Then give me the Astros with 1S, -1.5, so on the run line at +110. The Yankees clinched it. Justin Verlander really disappointing in his last outing. I think he wants to come back like Jordan, wearing the 4-5, but ain't to play games with you.
I like that. I agree with that. I'm going to take Astros money line -190. Worst thing for the Yankees, look, they clinched yesterday. They were partying hard. Worst thing was a bad outing from Justin Verlander last time. To me, he's going to come out. He's going to shove. I'm taking a money line. And then Georgia State App over. I bought this up a little bit at 60.5, so I could get in the plus money at +105. Let's score a lot of points. Friend of the show, our boy Tucker Gregg, Georgia State running back. He's going to be coming on soon. I think maybe he gets him a couple tutties.
So Greg.
Let's do it.
I love
You went 3-0 yesterday.
I love
3-0 yesterday, boys.
It's beautiful. Give me Georgia State +14.5, -194. The Georgia State always plays hard and always has guys. They're always in late games. They coach extremely well. And give me the over at 54.5. Points will get scored in this.
And just because they're not the real GSU doesn't mean they can't play good football. Like, I don't want that to be.
Your boys over there in Statesboro. Baby Cone wants Georgia State +10.5. That's -135. And the Padres, Phillies, Nerfy at -160. Make sure you're
Poll. What conference will miss the playoffs? ACC, Big 12, Pac-12.
Pac-12, 74%.
You have to say the Pac-12. Pac-12, 75%.
Pac-12, 61%. Big 12, 33%. ACC, 6%.
Well, the Big 12's already out of it. I almost went Big 12, but I think they see the writing on the wall. Speaking of the writing on the wall, there's a wall underneath here. It's a bell with notifications. You hit that bell, you ring it like Quasimodo, but hopefully you don't have a hunchback. Shout out Dan Mullen. Also, make sure you sub to our channel. Find us on all social media, TikTok, all that stuff. Just had our first TikTok hit over 1 million views. Go over there and check that out. Pretty cool story. Some of you will like, some of you will hate me for. But until the meantime, like the chances of the Braves winning the World Series this year, we're going, gone.